Welcome back to a new video here on my channel. Today I'll be showing you a simple method on how to draw different fashion figure poses for your fashion demonstrations. I'm going to be using the 9-head technique. And if you don't know what the 9-head technique is and you want to learn more about it, please check out the video I uploaded on my channel on this topic. It goes into detail on how I use that technique to draw my fashion figures. I highly recommend that you watch that before this video. But if you already know the fundamentals of drawing a fashion figure, specifically using the 9-head technique, then let's get started. So I'm going to start with the relaxed pose, also known as the Contrapposto, which is a pose where most of the body weight is on one foot, so that the shoulders twist off the axis opposite to the waist. That's very important to note. The shoulders twist off opposite to the waist. So as you can see, my paper has horizontal lines drawn 1 inch apart to help with proportions. We start with a vertical line that starts at the neckline and extends all the way down to the bottom of the feet, which is line 10. And this will act as our center line, also known as the balance line. This helps keep our figure and pose balanced, meaning the pose can be done by a person. So the person can be able to hold the pose for a long period of time without losing balance. Hence the name the balance line. That's why we need the balance line to help us with the pose. The next guideline I draw is what we call the S-curve. It also starts from the neckline and it has an intersection between the hip line and the balance line. Then it finishes off at the bottom. It actually looks like a letter S, and the curve of the upper body counters the curve of the lower body. This is what the term Contrapposto is about. When it comes to the width of the body, I like to use the 1 to 1.5 ratio, which means if the head is 1 inch tall, then the width of the shoulders will be 1.5 inches tall. So let's start by marking this measurement on both sides of our balance line. I use that measurement as a guide for the shoulder line, the apex line, and the hip line, which are all part of the torso. So the apex line and the hip line, which are all part of the torso, these lines are called action lines and they come in pairs. So the shoulder line is paired with the apex line and they are always parallel to each other. Then the waistline and the hip line are also paired together and they will always remain parallel to each other. The way action lines work is that they rotate around the balance line. The top pair rotate in the direction opposite to the bottom pair. And the way they rotate is determined by the direction of the S-curve. A guideline to note is that the side of the torso on which the S-curve is located is the side where the torso extends. We can also add a center line to the torso to help us with symmetry. So we start with the head. For the head, you just draw it straight with no twist or turn. As I draw the head, I follow the action lines. So then I'll go on to the next part of the body. I usually like to draw my body parts starting with either lines or circles. This helps me map out the body. So I start with the upper part of the body while following general body proportions. And here I'll start with circles for the apex. Remember, the shoulder line and the apex line are paired together, and so they're parallel to each other. They do not meet, which also goes for the waistline and the hip line. They're also paired together. And the upper lines, which are the shoulder line and the apex line, twist in the opposite direction to the waist and hip line. So then the next thing is the support leg. So a point to note is that the support leg is located on the side where the S-curve is on the lower part of the body. So I have 2 tips for when choosing the positioning for the leg placement. One is place it close to the balance line to keep the figure looking balanced and realistic. This reason is more from observation, observing images in the relaxed pose, or what we call the Contrapposto pose. And I would also advise that you also look at images, could be in magazines. Observe images in the relaxed pose. You can even observe people standing in the relaxed pose and see the placement of the leg and the relaxation of the shoulders and the waist twist. Then to help draw the leg, usually I will start with circles for the knee joints and smaller circles for the ankle joints. Then join these with straight lines and then after that I can start filling in my curves. And basically that's a support leg. So the rest of the poses of the other parts are going to shift around on preference. So you can play around with the placement for the rest of the body parts. Just keep in mind, for example, for the hands, take the measurement. Remember we said that the elbow joint is at the waistline and the wrist joint is at the crotch line. So you take those measurements and then use them as you play around with the placement for the hand. Maybe you want your model to have their hand resting on their hip. I don't know, whichever position you want the hands to be. You just need to take the measurements of the arm length and then place it wherever you want. Play around with, please, Jim. Play around with, be creative, whatever you want. Then I'll also be making a detailed video on how to draw hands, so you can look out for that. And again, I recommend you get some reference for the images while looking at magazines and mention it. Thank you so much. This has been nice. Thank you for being here. Please like and subscribe if you haven't yet. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.